The day began with an omen. Not a comet, not a prophecy. Something far worse. The Galactic Emperor of the Calorian Empire, ruler of 7 star systems, opened his eyes and saw 72 unread messages, all from something called Vibes Only. He froze. His royal heartbeat skipped 3 times. Calorians only use messaging for emergencies, extinction-level events, asteroid impacts, and the occasional birthday. Never for moods or vibes. He whispered to himself, "Why is there sparkle? Who authorized sparkle?" As tradition demanded, he summoned his imperial advisor, a tall, violet-skinned alien with 3 monocles and 0 emotional stability. The advisor stared at the screen. "Your Majesty, you appear to have been added. Added to a casual communication circle." The Emperor narrowed his eyes. "A circle? This is not diplomacy, this is witchcraft." Before royal panic could escalate, the chat buzzed again. New message. "GM everyone, what's the vibe today?" The Emperor recoiled. They greet the sun? Directly? Without ceremony? The advisor adjusted his monocles nervously. "Perhaps we should respond with the customary salute?" The Emperor considered. "Yes, send them a formal introduction." He dictated with great dignity. "Greetings. Identify your purpose." The message was sent. Silence followed. Galactic silence. The kind of silence where stars reconsider existing. But then, a reply. "Bro, he types like a villain." The Emperor nearly dropped the royal scepter. "What is bro?" The advisor gasped. "It might be a title. The ranks of human hierarchies are terribly confusing." Another message arrived. "Dude, chill." There it was again, that cursed yellow face. Eyes squinted, tears flowing, baring its teeth like a gladiator ready to feast on the fallen. The Emperor stared at it as if it might leap off the screen and challenge him to a duel. He called for the Imperial Interpreter, an elderly alien with 14 translation implants and chronic anxiety. "Decode it," the Emperor ordered. The interpreter squinted at the emoji, then squinted harder, then said the most terrifying sentence in galactic linguistics. "I don't know what emotion this is." The Emperor was speechless. The advisor trembled. The interpreter began updating his will. Finally, the interpreter said, "Your Majesty, I believe they are laughing." The Emperor frowned. "Laughing at us?" "It is possible, sire." "Do they mock my authority, my lineage, my ceremonial haircut?" At that exact moment, another message arrived. "Irmayo," the advisor dropped all 3 monocles. "Skeletal icons, sire. They threaten mass death." The Emperor rose from his throne, then summoned the council. They have chosen war over vibe. But just before leaving the chamber, he glanced once more at the screen. A human named Mia had just sent. "Information?" "You awake now?"
The Emperor paused. That last face looked peaceful, gentle. "I do not understand them," he whispered, "but I cannot look away." Even hopeful. And as the Calorian war chimes began to echo across the palace, the Emperor secretly wondered. What if the humans weren't mocking him? What if they were trying to talk? The question lingered. The war drums grew louder. And somewhere light years away, Mia typed another emoji, one that would change everything.
The Emperor didn't know it yet, but the group chat was alive. Not literally, but close enough. It had energy, chaos, weirdness, and the humans kept referring to it as if it possessed an actual soul. He stood before the holographic display of the chat name. "Vibe is only." The letters glittered. The sunglasses emoji radiated some kind of confidence that made the Emperor feel personally judged. His advisor stared at the title and whispered, "Your Majesty, should we attempt to negotiate with the vibe?" The Emperor frowned. One does not negotiate with a concept. Across the galaxy, meanwhile, the humans were behaving with 0 concern for cosmic consequences. In the group chat, "Vibes are immaculate today, you guys. Someone check on Space, Dad." Luna, "Bro, he's still typing his intro paragraph." Mia LMFAO, he probably writing it in calligraphy. The Imperial Interpreter read the messages with growing despair. They speak. In riddles, ancient riddles. And I believe someone called you. Space Dad? The Emperor rubbed his temples. I am not their father. I am an emperor. Why would they say such a thing? The advisor hesitated. Perhaps they mean it respectfully, sire. Humans use casual kinship terms to show comfort. Comfort! I do not want them to be comfortable, the Emperor snapped. I want them to explain what a vibe is. At that moment, another message appeared. Space Daddy good? Need snacks? The Emperor stared in silence. They offer nutritional supplies? The interpreter gulped. Perhaps they perceive you as fragile? The Emperor inhaled sharply. Send a response. He dictated carefully. I do not require snacks. I require answers. The humans reacted instantly. It sounds like a robot. Ombi. Jay, someone send him a burrito or something. Might. Space Dad, what's your fave snack? Luna, is it like stars? Do we eat stars? The Emperor read every line with the horror of someone witnessing their own funeral invitation. He whispered, They think I eat stars. The advisor nodded sympathetically. Well, Your Majesty, you have conquered 2 solar systems. They may assume consumption was involved. The interpreter added, Should we clarify that stellar ingestion is illegal under council law? The Emperor sighed. Send it. I have never eaten a star. That is forbidden. The humans reacted. Welcome, Team Shelf. Wasn't the best for you, he replied. Mia, this is the best day of my life. Luna, someone add him to the meme channel. Jay, Space Dad has entered the chat. The Emperor watched these reactions and whispered, They celebrate me, like an event. The advisor's eyes widened. Perhaps they like you? Like? The Emperor hesitated. No council had ever used that term with him before. No general, no diplomat, not even his royal pets. But humans were doing it casually, as if affection was as ordinary as gravity. He stared at the group chat and felt a sensation he didn't recognize. Curiosity? I wish to understand, he said quietly. What is a vibe, and how does one possess it? So he typed his boldest message yet. How does one acquire the vibe? A pause. Then a single reply from Mia. Hang with us. That's how. The Emperor fell silent. His advisors exchanged nervous glances. For the first time in Calorian history, the Emperor was not giving orders. He was being invited. The Emperor believed himself ready. He had survived 11 assassination attempts, 3 galactic droughts, and 1 interstellar karaoke battle, yet none of it prepared him for this moment. Understanding the emotion contained within. He gathered his top scholars, linguists, and psychic analysts into the war chamber. The massive hollow screen displayed a single image. The Emperor said firmly, We begin negotiations with the face. The Imperial interpreter cleared his throat. According to ancient Calorian archives, there is no known record of a face that weeps while smiling. So is it victory? The Emperor asked. Possibly. Or defeat. Also possible. The Emperor frowned. Can one both triumph and perish simultaneously? The interpreter nodded. Humans can, Your Majesty. They call it Monday. Meanwhile, in the group chat. Space Dad there? Maybe he typing in space language. Luna, use Google Translate bro. The Emperor stared at the screen. They have summoned me again, with the face. The advisor winced. Perhaps it is their way of greeting? The interpreter added, or their way of expressing disgust. The Emperor's eyes narrowed.
Why do they need 2 streams of water coming from their eyes to greet us?
In response, he typed, State your intentions. What does this symbol mean? The humans replied immediately.
Oh, it just means FPS is funny.
Yeah, like if we laugh a lot. Luna, it's like super funny tears. The Emperor read it 3 times, then asked, They display joy with tears?
Apparently, said the advisor. Do humans enjoy suffering? Frequently, the advisor answered. The interpreter raised a trembling finger. Your Majesty, it appears humans seek activities that cause emotional damage. They say things like, that movie hurt me, but I loved it. The Emperor stared at the hollow screen, horrified. So the face indicates happiness? Yes, the interpreter said solemnly, but in extreme form, the type that arrives just before madness. He stood before the group chat and asked his first genuine question. Why must joy involve tears? The humans responded. Gonna lean and stuff it. Me esteem. You laugh so hard you cry.
Also, sometimes our life is a disaster, but funny. Luna, we are complex beings. The Emperor stood motionless. Pain and humor coexisting. That is not communication. That is sorcery. But then, something unexpected happened. A private message appeared. Mia, direct message. Are you okay? The Emperor hadn't been asked that in years. Maybe ever. He stared at the message longer than any symbol before it. He didn't know how to respond. He didn't even fully know what okay meant. Slowly, carefully, he typed. I am uncertain. Mia replied. That's okay. Humans are uncertain 95% of the time. Something shifted inside him. Not a strategy, not a fear, just a small warmth. He whispered, this emoji, this face, it frightens me. But perhaps it is not an enemy. The interpreter looked surprised. Your Majesty, are you saying we should learn it? The Emperor nodded. Yes, if this face represents human emotion, then it represents our greatest mystery. We will study it, understand it, and maybe, someday, use it ourselves. The war chamber went silent. Then someone asked, should we send it back to them? The Emperor hesitated. And then, he did the bravest thing any Calorian had ever done. He sent. The humans reacted instantly. Hempel's heart of Yuking. Luna, vibe, status, achieved. The Emperor read their messages and smiled for the very first time. The Galactic Council did not appreciate surprises, especially emotional ones. When word spread that the Emperor had sent an emoji, several council members fainted, 2 resigned, and 1 attempted to legally classify emojis as weapons of mass confusion. The Chancellor of Protocol burst into the chamber, shouting, "He has compromised our honor." The Emperor smiled in public. The council gasped. Someone whispered, "Is smiling contagious? Should we wear masks?" Another replied, "What if masks make it worse? What if the humans see it as a fashion challenge?" A hologram of the group chat appeared over the council table, displaying the Emperor's sent emoji hovering in glorious yellow terror. The Chancellor trembled. That symbol means the Emperor felt something. We must contain this. We must quarantine his emotions. The council initiated an emergency meeting. 400 alien diplomats sat in swirling chaos, each staring at the emoji as though it might detonate. "Perhaps they hacked his brain," said Representative Glada. "Perhaps he has been possessed," said Ambassador Vin. "Perhaps," muttered the Supreme Archivist, "he simply found something funny." A hush fell. A long, uneasy silence. Then everyone burst into laughter. The nervous kind that sounds like screaming. The Chancellor slammed the table. "No Calorian has ever found joy during war preparation. This is clearly psychological sabotage." He raised his voice. "We must demand answers from humanity, starting with that individual called Mia." Meanwhile, Mia had just messaged again. "Space Dad did you up smile? Bro sending emojis like a real one now? Luna, He's evolving. Those messages were read aloud in the council chamber like ancient curses. The chancellor covered his ears. Evolving? Into what? A comedian? This is diplomatic collapse. Another message arrived, right during the meeting. Mia, Space Dad that we should join the pizza debate tonight. Jay, pineapple or no pineapple? Luna, Star Wars laws apply here. The council froze. They wrote it onto a projection screen, as if it were an intercepted war code. Diplomat Fartho raised his hand. I request military translation. Does pineapple refer to explosives? The archivist replied, possibly. Star Wars? Could be a galaxy with combat history? The chancellor whispered, what is pizza, and why must it be debated? An argument erupted. Some claimed pizza was a human territory. Others believed it was a metaphor for conquest. One diplomat insisted it was a shape-shifting organism. The chancellor, overwhelmed, declared, we cannot debate pineapples until we know if bro is a title or an insult. At last, the emperor himself appeared in the chamber. Calm, steady, different. The council bowed nervously. One asked, Your Majesty, did you truly smile? The emperor took a long breath. Yes, he said simply. And also, I learned the vibe. The chamber nearly rioted. The chancellor begged, Your Majesty, please resist. Emotional contact is dangerous. We don't even know what a vibe is. The emperor looked toward the stars. That is why we must learn. He opened the group chat, right there, in front of the entire council, and typed, What is pizza? The reply came instantly. A gift from the universe. The council stared. The emperor nodded. Then we shall try it. Diplomats panicked. The chancellor fainted. And so, it was official. The Calorian Empire was now invited to pizza night. The Council of Calorian Intelligence was created for serious purposes. Border security, treaty management, asteroid redirection. It was not created to investigate tiny yellow faces with emotional instability. Yet today, over 50 elite analysts sat around a glowing conference table, staring at a projection titled Operation Emoji, Classify or Perish. The Emperor watched them silently as each emoji was displayed one by one. First, the room flinched. Then, 3 analysts resigned on the spot. Then, everyone demanded medical scans. General Zartho spoke first. We believe the humans are using an emotional language to bypass our defenses. The Chancellor scoffed. Emotions. We abandoned those centuries ago. The Emperor replied calmly, yet humans use them freely. Perhaps that is why they fear nothing. Dr. Vela, the xenolinguist, rose from her corner seat holding a stack of data pads and a bag of emergency stress candy. She cleared her throat. My findings suggest each emoji represents a social signal rather than a threat. The Chancellor frowned. Then what does it mean? Extreme laughter, Vela replied. It signifies something is so funny, they metaphorically die. The Chancellor gasped. Humans use death as comedy? She nodded. Apparently, yes. One commander stood up. We must defend ourselves. Their humor is too advanced. Our sanity could be at risk. Another shouted, we should ban their language entirely. But Dr. Vela raised a finger. Or we could learn it. The room froze. Learn it? Understand humanity? That sounded dangerously close to empathy. Nobody liked empathy. It was unpredictable and possibly contagious. Still, the Emperor listened. Continue, he said. Vela opened her datapad. I propose we create an emoji translation matrix, a dictionary. We decode their symbols, we learn their humor, and we prevent intergalactic war. The Chancellor rolled his eyes. You want us to waste time learning? Jokes? Vela held up another emoji. This one, she said, means suspicion or doubt. She zoomed in. I have seen this face 1,000 times, every time someone asks if pineapple belongs on pizza. The Chancellor blinked twice. So that debate is social?
Vela nodded. Highly social, highly emotional, and apparently eternal. The Emperor leaned forward. What about this? He pointed at. She swallowed. That one suggests mischief. Deception? The Chancellor asked. Flirting? Vela corrected. The room went dead silent. Nobody moved. Nobody blinked. One general softly whispered, Humans flirt during warfare? Yes, Vela replied, sometimes because of warfare. The Emperor looked at her. Can this language be mastered? She hesitated. With time, but we must learn not just the symbols, we must understand why they are used. And you, the Emperor asked, are willing to teach? She nodded. For the sake of peace. A long silence followed. Then the Emperor said, Begin the matrix. I will study it myself. The council erupted. Some protested. Some begged him to reconsider. One shouted, Emotion is chaos. But the Emperor stood tall. Emotion, he said, might be strength. And as the meeting ended, one more message arrived in the group chat. Hey, Space Dad, want to play charades on call tonight? The Emperor showed it to the room. The Chancellor turned pale. Dr. Vela simply smiled and said, That is an invitation.
The entire Galactic Council was silent as the Emperor hovered over the message box. He had studied the emoji matrix, practiced friendly tone simulations, and even, against regulation, read 3 human group chats from Earth. He was ready, or at least he believed readiness was mathematically possible. I must respond as a human would, he said gravely. The Chancellor panicked. Your Majesty, please, think of your legacy. What if they interpret your words as a declaration of existential dread? The Emperor replied, That is how all my messages are normally interpreted. Dr. Vela approached calmly, adjusting her glasses. Just speak naturally. Be curious, friendly, seek connection. A word the Emperor had only seen in diplomatic treaties and marriage proposals. It felt dangerous, alive, but also somehow necessary. He typed slowly, carefully. What's charades? That was it. No declaration of intent, no military posture, just a question, wrapped in a calm, mysterious emoji. Across the chamber, everyone held their breath. Then, the reply appeared. No way he used I'm so proud, RN. J, man learned the chill face. Luna, legend arc unlocked. The Emperor blinked. They approve? The Chancellor examined the messages like unstable chemicals. Your Majesty, they are celebrating your emotional vulnerability. Is that good? Dr. Vela smiled. That is excellent. The Emperor hesitated before typing again. I wish to understand the game of charades. Mia, it's when you act something out but you can't talk. Jay, it's chaos but like crew rules. Luna, basically hiding emotions but for fun. The Emperor stared at the last line. Hiding emotions for fun? His species hid emotions out of survival. The concept that humans did it recreationally was deeply unsettling. He typed, And this activity improves trust? Mia responded almost instantly. Exactly. Dr. Vela stepped forward. Your Majesty, they're teaching you their bond rituals. The council didn't know whether to panic or take notes. But the Emperor kept going. Then I accept the invitation. Jay, Space Dad joining the call tonight, let's go. Luna, get her acting ready about to see unhinged energy. Mia, we'll teach you how to vibe in real time. The words real time echoed through the council like a prophecy. The Chancellor fell to his knees. They will corrupt him. They will introduce chaos live. Dr. Vela crossed her arms. Chaos might be what he needs. The Emperor nodded slowly. Connection requires risk. The council exchanged anxious glances. History was being rewritten through text messages. Before closing the conversation, the Emperor wrote one final line.
I am honored to join your ritual, and I will bring snacks. The group chat exploded. Base dad bringing treats? Bro accepted the vibe. Luna, the Empire is falling, and I'm here for it. The Emperor closed the chat, and for a moment, truly felt something rare. Anticipation. He stood before the council and said, "Tonight, I enter the call. We study their emotions, we learn their humor, and maybe we earn their trust." A hush fell. No one dared oppose him now. History books would one day record this moment. The Emperor sent his first message, and the galaxy changed its tone.
The call hadn't even started yet. No camera, no talking, just a wild countdown from the humans in the chat. "Space Dad, you ready for Charades tonight? War gonna break out when he guesses wrong?" Luna. This is how diplomacy ends. The Emperor reread that last message 5 times. This is how diplomacy ends. He summoned his advisors. Have they predicted conflict? Is this a warning? A prophecy? The Chancellor panicked. "We need defense fleets at the ready. If they're planning psychological warfare via miming, we must respond with strength." General Zartho saluted. "Initiate DEFCON snacks. The humans mentioned food. We could be facing diplomatic bribery." Dr. Vela massaged her forehead. "That's not what they mean. Humans joke when they're nervous. They fear the unknown and soften it with laughter." The Chancellor shook his head. "How is this a survival method?" Vela sighed. "It isn't. It's just human." Meanwhile, on Earth, the humans were setting up charades like it was a festival. Mia paced around her room, excited beyond comprehension. She messaged again. "Space Dad, don't worry, charades is safe. Yeah, unless you lose, then it's war. Luna friendly war, though. Jay, yeah, like snowball fight, but emotional damage." The Emperor read every line and concluded, "War is inevitable." He called a council meeting. "This game is designed to test our spirits. If we fail, they will launch emotional projectiles. Possibly snow." Panic spread. Ambassador Vin shouted, "Shield generators are not configured for frozen precipitation." The Emperor raised a hand. "We can still prevent aggression. We must respond with logic and dignity." He opened the chat and wrote, "We accept the challenge, but we do not wish for war." The humans replied, Lou, sheepy-ish. Space Dad thinks we serious. Luna, Chandrabor. I want to give him a hug." The Chancellor read the messages aloud in horror. "They mock our plea for peace. They plan physical contact." Hug. That unfamiliar word appeared like a threat. Dr. Vela explained it gently. A hug is not combat. It's an embrace. Representative Glada asked, "Does it restrict movement?" "Yes," Vela said. "Can you escape it?" "Eventually." General Zartho growled. "It's a civilized takedown." The Emperor hesitated. "Would humans use a hug on me?" Dr. Vela smiled. "If they like you, certainly." The Emperor blinked. Nobody had liked him in decades. Not in the official reports, not in the Empire, not even in his own thoughts. Just then, another message appeared. "Space Dad, you worry too much. Vibe check tonight." The Emperor translated it carefully. He had learned emojis, he had learned symbols, but vibe check, that was new. The Chancellor gasped. "What is a vibe check? Some kind of evaluation? A trial?" Dr. Vela whispered, "It might be a test of character." A test of character. Not power, not conquest, not survival, just character. That was the most terrifying challenge of all. The Emperor stared at the stars. "They do not challenge our weapons," he said softly. "They challenge our hearts." The council stared, unsure, unsteady, but listening. The Emperor typed one final message. "I will face the vibe check." Mia, yo, let's go.
Jay, he's brave. Luna, Space Dad arc going crazy RN.
The Chancellor whispered,
"It has begun. War of personality." And that was how humanity accidentally launched the first intergalactic emotional conflict before Charades even started.
The countdown to charades continued. Humans spammed stickers, emojis, and something called a shrimp meme that confused every Kalorian scholar on duty. The Emperor tried to decode it, but gave up after 10 pages of cultural analysis. And then, it happened. A new name appeared in the chat. System message. Zeno_meme translator _9000 has joined the group. The Emperor stiffened. They have summoned their strategist. The Chancellor studied the username. Meme translator. Is that a rank? A warrior? A cryptic AI? Dr. Vela suddenly looked nervous. I've heard of these. They specialize in decoding human humor. They can trigger laughter at will. The Emperor whispered, weaponized comedy. Meanwhile, the newcomer finally appeared in the chat. Zeno_9000 Duronin. Heard Space Dad needs meme training. Jay, the specialist has arrived. Luna, teach him the ways. The Emperor blinked. I do not recall requesting a mentor. Dr. Vela sighed. Sometimes humans force friendship. It may be unstoppable. The translator sent another message. Zeno_translator _1000 Dr. Be going. Let's start easy. Ever see this one? He sent an image. A potato. Just a potato. The Emperor frowned. This is a vegetable. The Chancellor scowled. Perhaps they mock our intelligence. Dr. Vela studied the caption. When you're showing your best, but life keeps happening. She cleared her throat. It suggests emotional exhaustion. The Emperor stared at the potato longer than he meant to. Somehow, he understood it. It represents effort, he said slowly, and the tragedy of reality. Dr. Vela's eyes widened. Exactly. A message appeared. Zeno_meme translator on article 9000. Space Dad gets it. The Emperor looked around. The council was frozen. Silent. Waiting. I gets it, he muttered. The council gasped. The Chancellor collapsed in disbelief. Dr. Vela smiled, almost proudly. The translator continued. Zeno_meme translator _9000. Now, level 2 meme. Jay, he's not ready. Mia, believe in him. Luna, Space Dad can ascend. They sent a new image. A dog, sitting in a room engulfed in flames. Caption, this is fine. The Emperor studied it like ancient scripture. It's not fine, he whispered. Dr. Vela nodded. And yet, humans accept it. The Emperor suddenly felt awed. Seen. Understood. Like humans had experienced every existential crisis he tried to hide. He typed. Dog is afraid but pretending, because pretending is easier than changing fate. Zeno_9000. 9000. You decoded it? Space Dad truly woke. Mia, that's exactly it. For a moment, no one spoke in the council chamber. Even the Chancellor, still sprawled on the floor, stared at the memes as though seeing humanity's soul. The Emperor spoke softly. Their symbols are not weapons, they are reflections. Dr. Vela nodded. Humanity shares struggle through humor. They survive by laughing together. The Emperor looked at the screen. He hesitated, then typed. Thank you. I will learn more. The translator replied. Zeno_meme translator _9000. You're ready. For charades? For memes? For memes? For vibes. The Emperor read those words carefully, and for the first time in the meeting, he did not feel like a ruler facing danger. He felt like a student at the beginning of something important. Something powerful. Something terrifying. Something that felt a lot like friendship. The Calorian Council believed they were prepared. They had survived meme training, decoded the potato symbolism, and even accepted that dogs might pretend everything is fine while perishing internally. They felt ready for anything. They were not ready for the truth about emoji. The call began with all human voices chattering excitedly. The Emperor sat silently, flanked by advisors and a diplomatic stress therapist. Then, Mia spoke first. "Space Dad," she said warmly, "you've learned memes, you've mastered the potato, but tonight, you must understand emoji." The council braced for impact. Jay added, "Emoji are not a language. They are feelings, but compressed, like emotional nanotech." Luna chimed in, "They're tiny emotional universes." The Emperor spoke carefully. "So each symbol holds meaning beyond its shape?" "Exactly," Mia said. "Emoji aren't just communication, they're connection." The Chancellor whispered to Dr. Vela, "Is that legal?" The translator joined the conversation. "Humans can't always explain emotions with words. Too complicated, too unpredictable. So we invented a shortcut. We invented emoji to say what we feel without saying it." Silence fell. Not fearful silence, curious silence. The Emperor asked, "But why hide the words? Why not speak plainly?" Mia replied gently, "Because we're afraid sometimes. Afraid to say something wrong, or too much, or too little. Emoji keeps it safe. It says, 'I care,' without risking too much." General Zartho frowned. "So emoji is armor?" "Sometimes," Mia said, "but sometimes it's a hug." The Emperor sat very still. "I have never received such a thing, not without political context." Dr. Vela leaned forward, her voice soft. "Emoji allows humans to share vulnerability without losing power." The Emperor stared at his screen. "And I sent one already, without knowing what it meant." "Yes," Mia said, smiling. "That's why it mattered. You didn't know what it meant, but you sent it anyway. That is trust." The council appeared genuinely stunned. The Chancellor finally spoke, voice shaky. "So when he sent laugh emoji, he wasn't declaring war?" Jay laughed. "No, he was accidentally declaring friendship." Luna added, "That's why we celebrated. We saw him trying." The Emperor nodded slowly. "Trying is rare in leadership." Mia typed another message in the chat. "Emoji is how we say we're here." Emoji makes company during chaos. Luna, emoji makes loneliness. Less loud. The Emperor felt something unfamiliar. Not fear, not pressure, just a small spark, like the start of a sunrise. He whispered, "Humans built emotional tools because vulnerability is difficult." Mia replied, "We built them because vulnerability is worth it." The Emperor stood from his throne. "Then we will not fear emoji. We will adopt it. We will learn its strength. And one day we will send it without hesitation." The council watched in awe as he opened the group chat again and sent 3 simple symbols: contentment, happiness, and thumb up. In human terms: peace, wonder, approval. The chat erupted with cheering, all caps joy, and chaotic spelling that no Calorian could ever decode. But the Emperor didn't need to decode it. At last, he understood the feeling behind it. Peace swept across the stars in the most unexpected way. Not through treaties, not through negotiations, but through emojis. The Calorian Council officially recognized emoji as a non-hostile emotional code, and in return, humanity welcomed the Empire into their most sacred traditions: memes, charades, and the pineapple pizza debate. The Emperor hosted the very first intergalactic vibe summit, where every species was encouraged to share their feelings through tiny yellow symbols. Some species preferred the thumbs up, others embraced the sparkle, and one aquatic civilization communicated exclusively using the shrimp emoji, but no one had the courage to ask why. Historians declared it a new golden age. Trade routes opened, treaties flowed easily, Wi-Fi was declared a basic cosmic right. Entire galactic academies began teaching human humor theory to help civilizations survive Earth's sarcasm. The Emperor even announced a brand new branch of government, the Ministry of Vibes. Dr. Vela became the head of the Meme Research Division. The Chancellor, now reformed, taught emotional defense tactics using nonverbal reactions. General Zartho retired and opened a restaurant named Snacks and Diplomacy. Pineapple pizza was banned on 3 planets and worshipped as sacred cuisine on 2 others. Humanity and Kaluria stood united, in the belief that nobody really understands taxes, Mondays, or the purpose of the angry red emoji. But then, it arrived. A singular meme. No text. No explanation. Just an image of a banana wearing sunglasses, sitting alone on the moon. The Emperor stared at it. Is this symbolic? Dr. Vela squinted. It might be. Hope. The Chancellor panicked. Or a threat. The moon is unguarded. The group chat exploded. Someone explained this meme RN. Nobody knows where it came from. Mia, it appeared in like 20 chats at once. Jay, the banana has no origin. Luna, who made the banana? Mia, what does it want? Across the galaxy, every species began to obsess over the image. Conferences were held, theories emerged. Was it a symbol of rebellion? Was it an invitation to laughter? Was the banana waiting? Philosophers declared it the meme of destiny. Others claimed it predicted a new era. One diplomat tried to interview the image by yelling at his screen for 6 hours. At sunrise, an emergency assembly was called. The Emperor stood at the center of the chamber, gazing at the meme that defied logic. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he smiled. A real, genuine, practiced and mean it smile. The humans have taught us this, he said softly. Sometimes meaning is not found, sometimes it's created. The council exchanged glances. So, the Emperor continued, we will answer the meme, not with fear, but with feeling. He raised his hand and sent a reply across the stars, with funny banana and moon emojis. Mia messaged instantly. Space Dad replied, Psst. Bro, just memed back at Destiny. Luna, what does it mean? Mia. Yeah, gay, but I think... The banana smiled. The Emperor looked at the stars and declared, let the galaxy decide what the banana means. So what now, Space Dad? The Emperor? We wait. We watch. And we keep the vibes ready.